Daddy. Hi, Fish. So cute, Fish.
Welcome, adventurers, to the Rambling Bard's crafting video for August. Obviously, several days late. Today's now September 5th, and I'm finally cobbling this all together. I've been recording bits and pieces of this fish tank progress over the past little bit, and now that I've cobbled some of it together, done some real simple editing, nothing fancy today, except for toward the end, there's some fancy side-by-side, two different camera angles of the same feeding. I think I've got them synchronized. It should be neat. I've also got it sped up. It's not super great because these fish are pretty new, and so they're still adjusting to tank life. They were also wild caught. I say wild, but quote-unquote wild. They were just in a pond, a private pond, so everything is legal here for me to have caught and kept here in Oklahoma, and make sure you read your regulations very carefully before you start trying to keep wild fish, especially wild game fish. So the first thing that I wanted to do is I'm going to show you some clips of the tank and the different species that we have in here. I believe these two are green sunfish. They might be bluegill, but in short, they're panfish. They are freshwater sunfish, not like ocean water sunfish. In the UK and Europe, they tend to call them bream or brim. They fit that same kind of family. And I'm sorry about camera focusing issues and stuff. I'm doing the best that I can with my iPhone. If you'd like to see some improvement in footage, definitely become a patron, patreon.com/theRamblingBard. Links for anything and everything that I may mention about myself or other people will always be in the description below. I try to remember to add all of that. And here you're seeing some of our mosquito fish. I love mosquito fish for the pure and simple fact that they are super hardy. They look almost exactly like guppies. They give birth to live young. That's one of the mamas there. You can see that big gravid spot on her side and her big, almost distended belly. I really hope she gives us some young soon before the largemouths that I've got actually end up eating her. Got some baby largemouths that you'll see here in a little bit too. But for now, a little close-up of the mystery snails. We'll get some better footage of them here in just a second. But the mystery snails are actually the only two named creatures we have in the tank. Mystery snails are Niles and Fraser. They were the first things that we added to the tank because they are kind of our heavy-duty cleanup crew, and we got them. They were a little bit smaller, and they've grown considerably. They're pretty monstrous nowadays. We got one of the, like I said, pretty sure this is a green sunfish. If it's not, please correct me. I'd love to be told what it actually is. I got some good footage when I got up close to the tank with my phone and would like flare my fingers out, you know, like do the number 4 with my hand above my phone. He'd flare his fin out at me, so that's what I was doing here with him. Or her, not really sure yet. They're real small, so it's kind of hard to tell till they get a little bit bigger, till their color fully develops, unless you are probably like a specialist in this field, which I am not. I am just a hobbyist. And we'll get into more of the real reason for this video, aside from, you know, crafting. I didn't do a crafting process of like, this is how I set up a tank. I will do one of those coming up soon because I'm going to set up a much bigger tank. So some quick details about this tank for those of you who are aquarium enthusiasts, or those of you who are going to be brand new adventurers in this adventure, in this scope, in this campaign of keeping fishies. What I'm running here is a 20-gallon aquarium tank. It's 20-gallon long, and I've got 2 Fluval, or Fluval, however you pronounce that brand, filters. Both of them are Fluval 30s, and I've got them on either side of the tank. Because it's a long tank, I ended up doubling up on smaller things. Some of them are smaller things. So I've also got 2 of the cylinder-style heaters. I can't remember the brand off the top of my head, that are set to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Those in the UK, feel free to Google and convert that, because I'm not going to do that right now. I will in the future. I will learn, I promise. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Some nice close-up footage of Niles. This is actually Niles eating an earthworm. I thought about sticking that in the title and make it real clickbaity, but nah. Pretty neat. Snail eating an earthworm. Maybe I will. Who knows? Only you will know, adventurers, because you'll be the ones that clicked on this big ol' snail. And yeah, munching away on one of those earthworms. Like I said, cleanup crew, that's why we got them. But yeah, I wanted to not only just show you the process and kind of talk about, hey, this is what I've got in my tank, but also talk about the pitfalls and the things that people at pet stores may not tell you, and the things you may not be ready for or expect going into this hobby. The number one thing I will tell you is that, contrary to what might be popular belief or what big box pet stores may want you to think or may not inform you of, or big box stores that happen to have a pet and aquatic section, fish are not a drop of the hat or sudden decision pet. You cannot, for the most part, unless you're willing to spend just tons of money, both on chemicals or already pre-treated water or something like that, you cannot buy a fish tank and fish in the same day and expect to come home and have a new pet. The number one thing that they don't really tell you in pet stores is you need to cycle your tank. If you're new to this, or they won't tell you at Walmart, that's for damn sure. If you're new to this, you need to cycle your tank, and we'll talk about what that means here in a little bit. You just saw the last clip was a couple of bullhead catfish babies that I rescued actually from a culvert in between some of these private ponds. And here is one of two of the largemouth bass that I have. Little babies, again, scooped up while dip netting for bait in a little private pond. And I was just like, wow, that's a heck of a catch. He's about the length of my finger. Let me measure. Finger from outside knuckle to outside tip is about 4.5 inches. So he's not quite that long. He's actually much closer to the inside length, like inside of the first knuckle, that crease there to the tip of my finger, probably about 3.5 inches. So he's about 3 inches, 3.5 inches altogether. There's his buddy. I love this footage, even though I was sitting here tapping, trying to get the lighting right with the touchscreen on the phone. But because the catfish just kind of slowly sank down in the upper left-hand corner there, I actually didn't notice him till I got the colors adjusted. And I was like, oh, hey, look. And that's the other of the two little bullheads that I got. I think they're the right size to coexist with these bass, and I'm hoping I can get everybody to grow at just about the same rate to keep them all coexisting, except for the mosquito fish. They won't ever get much bigger than they already are, and I expect the bass at the very least to eat those mosquito fish for lunch and to replenish mosquito fish from that private pond, because those things reproduce like crazy. There's plenty of them. I'm not going to hurt the population by dip netting a handful of mosquito fish every couple of days out of that pond. So yeah, real useful thing there. So we're hoping that's where it gets to. I think the bass hunt those at night because their numbers already seem to be dwindling. And this footage, as of this footage, which was taken today, right before I treated for the fungus you can so obviously see on his face and lip there, and we'll get a little bit of footage with the fungus treatment in there because it makes the water a very pretty color. I'm pretty sure the bass have already eaten one or two of the mosquito fish. So we'll move around here so we can get some in-tank footage of the other catfish. He's a spooky little one, or she. Don't really know what they are yet. Yeah, little bullheads. I like this. I have opted for. I don't have anything against any type of aquariums out there. You're gonna hear some tank noise here in a minute because it's very pretty noise, very calming. But I don't have anything against any types of aquariums. You want to have electric blue rocks on the bottom and have SpongeBob and Squidward's and Patrick's house in there. That's great, and I actually think that's phenomenal, and I think there's a time and a place for every kind of tank. I want to raise really natural looking fish, so I was aiming for as natural as possible. Of course, not counting the cups and our little tree decoration. The theme I'm going for is like lake bed, riverbed, stream bed, creek bed. So there's litter, quote unquote. Those are actually mugs that my older sister Jacqueline made, and I'll have a link for her stuff. StudioRat Productions. She made those back when she was in college. So those are some premier artist pieces. Like nobody else can have stuff like that, and they are holding up very well underwater. And the fish love them for hides. And then I just loved this green man tree. I just thought he was great, and he was on sale when I was at PetSmart picking up treatment and that sort of thing. And as you can see, this water's super green here. It's been treated very recently. I just put in a couple of fungal treatment packets, one each for the water because it's 20 gallons, so you do one for every 10 gallons with this particular brand. And it does turn the water just this deep emerald green color. And right after this footage, I actually added a couple of the ick tablets too, just for safe measure. My research all showed that they should be okay on both the ick tablets and such. So I think I've got this synchronized. It may be a little bit off. I did the best that I could. This is my first time doing side-by-side video. The video lengths were a little bit different, but as you can see on the left-hand side, you can see my white phone case there with the wolf nose on the very left-hand side, the big black spot on that white rectangle. And on the right-hand side is the actual footage from that iPhone. On the left-hand side is footage from my old Galaxy Note 4 or 5, which now actually won't turn on again after I got the footage off of this thing. So, hey, whatever. It's fine. It's not the exploding model. It was the model right beforehand. But the fish are still pretty finicky and not perfect on eating food. The sunfish want really, really tiny earthworms, which you obviously can't buy. And cutting up bigger ones, even that doesn't quite work because their mouths are just a little bit too small. The sunfish still swimming sideways a little bit. And this was before I caught the bass or added the tree, as you can tell, or the catfish, as a matter of fact. But it's just kind of fun side-by-side footage. Anyway, so on to the main points. I did mention already, these are not very fast things. I'm not going to give you instructions or anything like that on how to do all these different things that I'm going to mention, like cycling your tank. There's other videos out there, and I can do that later, especially when I'm doing the tank construction video. But the short version is, you need to get all your filters, all of your media, everything set up without any living animals in there. You need to let your tank cycle for about 3 weeks, and cycling means just letting it run. Put some fish food in there every couple of days, let it get in there, and just process and break down, release ammonia, nitrates and nitrites. Nitrate and nitrite, rather. Check your pH, test your pH every couple of days, all of your levels every couple of days. Get your water suitable for the fish that you're going to be keeping. The main thing that they won't tell you at Walmart or big box stores is fish keeping is actually a very delicate thing. It takes a lot of attention. You gotta not just look at them and enjoy their presence daily, but you've got to clean pretty regularly. You've got to do water changes. You've got to make sure that when you do your testing, that the levels stay safe for your fish, because overnight you can, in the blink of an eye, something can happen. A fish can die overnight from natural causes or from an infection or something like that, but them being dead for those 8 hours in the tank releases a shit ton of ammonia into the tank, which is really harmful for the fish. Things like leaving extra food left over without some sort of cleanup crew can also be really harmful for the fish, so you want to make sure that you get your net in there, dip net it, and take that stuff out. I'm still learning. I'm very new to this, so there's a lot of Google searches every day. There's a lot of questions and going to Reddit with pictures of stuff and what is this, what's happening to my fish, what's killing them. There's looking up other similar threads on Reddit, that sort of thing. The number one thing to remember with keeping fish is, I would say, be patient, take your time, and be diligent. Check your levels, be routine. Your fish develop a routine, and if you do it right, I've seen footage of it. You can get them eating out of your hand, and it's rather fantastic to see how much personality they develop. The green sunfish there on the left, the bigger of the two, he's got some more steady movement, stays in place more often. At least in this current footage while I'm speaking right now, he just moved out of sight to the left, very, very left. He has the most personality. He'll come out when he feels me walking across the kitchen floor, because fish often work on vibrations. So he started to perk up and be less shy, which is really, really encouraging. And I feed, pretty much I alternate. One day I'll do flakes, and the next day I'll do cut up bits of worm, the smallest worms I can get. Sometimes I'll actually go out in the backyard or the garden, as you folks in Europe or England might say, go out in the back garden and dig up some worms, just the small little earthworms as best I can find. When it's real dry, it's difficult, but because it's been raining lately, it's a lot easier to get to the worms. Just go to the surface with a decent stick or a little hand shovel or something, and just break the surface up, break the clods of dirt up with your hands, and pick out the small worms. And they at least pick at them, tear them apart, and eat them eventually, and then the snails come along and finish them too. So now we'll roll credits. Adventures, again, thank you so much for watching the video. If you're interested in this, you want to see more fish tank footage, check me out, twitch.tv/TheRamblingBard. I'm actually working on getting a setup of just 24/7 streaming this fish tank so that there's always nice calming presence of the fish that you can watch, and maybe you'll catch some live feedings as well. Basically, whenever I'm not streaming gaming, I hope to be streaming the fish tank. So, adventurers, thank you again so much for stopping by. I really hope that you've enjoyed this fish tank crafting video. This is kind of part one of a fish tank crafting video series. I'll definitely be keeping more footage and talking more about keeping an aquarium as time goes on. Again, if you'd like to see more of this, like to help support the fish, like to get a bigger fish tank, like to see better angles, more cameras, that sort of thing, become a patron like all these people you're seeing here right in front of you. These lovely adventurers have chosen to devote the amount of money that you see in front of you to get some rewards, as just for the pure sake of supporting me and helping me do what I love. So if you'd like to join them, like to join us, then please head over to patreon.com/TheRamblingBard. Adventurers, may your rolls be high, and remember, life is a series of choices between fear and love. Choose love, everybody. We'll see you next time.